everyone, I'm Robin Randolph and welcome to Art for Healing and Joy. Before I jump into today's video, I just want to say that last time I showed you how to make art cards using my gel plate. And I have a link for you in the description below. You might want to watch that one first and then come back to watch this one. The two go together really well. And after I posted that video, and I got some fabulous feedback. And I want to just encourage you guys to please always feel free to leave any comments or feedback below. I love to hear your thoughts and questions that you may have. Anyway, this feedback was wonderful, letting me know that it would be better if I slowed things down. This particular person wanted to see the process more, and I'm sure that she's speaking for others as well. So I really heard that. And in today's video, I'm really going to slow things down and explain more in detail what I'm doing. So you can really see things and ask any questions that you want to ask. And I want to encourage you, no matter what level you're at, that you are an artist. And just to give yourself the time and the freedom to experiment and play, maybe put on some really great music that inspires you, and you are going to be surprised at how the art will kind of form itself. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in. I'm going to begin this session using some art grade tissue paper, and I'll have that link for you below. And this strength of tissue paper is a little bit more durable and won't rip or tear on the gel plate. So I'm taking the paper and I'm just scrunching it up because I want to get all of those little lines and shadows that get created when you scrunch the paper up and put some paint on it and then roll it out on the gel plate. Okay, so for time's sake, I'm going to speed up the process a little bit here. I'm using a palette knife here instead of using the usual roller or brayer because, again, I want to get lines. I don't want it to be just all smooth. I want it to have different markings. So you can see all those little wrinkles and crinkles make different kinds of marks on the gel plate. Okay, I'm going to slow things down so I can explain a little bit more. Now I'm taking my favorite metallic paints, and this time it's a kind of like a pearl essence with a little shade of, I don't know, like a pearly blue, and I'm hand painting that into some of the spaces. Next, I wanted to experiment with blending blobs of purple and gold and not blending it completely so it was one smooth blended color, but to leave sort of different patches of color. And I also wanted to see what would happen if I used a stencil with that, and I decided to pick one with small dots. Often I like to use copy paper because it's a pretty inexpensive way to experiment and to keep working layers and layers of removing and adding paint to the gel plate and trying in different effects. And here you can see I only pulled off some paint, not a whole paper's worth. And so then I thought I'm just going to play around and add in some hearts here, do a little hand pen work in there, and maybe use some of my watercolors as well. I just wanted to experiment and see what other things I could make and maybe cut up parts of these pages and use them in my final card art. So that's what I'm doing here. I wanted to make subtle Valentine's cards, but still keep the heart theme in there, but not so obviously. A little later on, of course, I'll show you the full completed cards. But right here you can see I've circled the doodle hearts that I was just working on. And you can see how I cut them up, or actually I tore them up and collaged them right into the cards. And I want to quickly explain what I did here. So on the right hand side you can see stitch marks. And what I did is on my sewing machine I just stitched lines, and I used a black thread on top and a white thread on bottom, and I just stitched those onto deli paper. I also used deli paper over on the left, and I took a stencil of very tiny dots, and I took an artist paste and just put that paste over on top of the stencil, and it gave me these little raised white dots for a fun little texture. And I'll list that paste for you and the deli paper below in the description. I knew I wanted these cards to have different dimensions, a few different colors, and different textures. So in this play session, I was just experimenting with using gray, acrylic, and a paintbrush to create all kinds of different sized circles. Play session, I wanted to write a bunch of random words, and typically I always add in the words love heals somewhere in there. And so I just let my hand be loose and did a lot of just sort of very scratchy kind of writing and scribbly almost, and just went fast and didn't really think too much about it. Just wrote words and practiced writing backwards and forwards and sideways. And then I just ripped it up. This is when I just love art, because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just in the moment, and I'm just going on the next thought that comes in my head, and the next one. I don't have a plan. I'm just in the process, and then the next thing will lead me to the next thing. And so then I got out some of my older papers that I'd made other times and just went for different black and white pieces to complement what I already had. And then I pulled out a book, and it had different little poetic writings in it, and I just ripped out just different ones and different themes, some about snow, some about being at the barn, some about, I don't know, weather things, or just different things. It's an old book, and it was written, I think, in the 30s. And just, I don't think too much about things. I just go with whatever jumps out at me. And for no good reason, I just felt inspired to get out a Posca pen, a white one, and just draw random little marks on top of the words. Enough so that it sort of blocked out some of the words, but you could still see a lot of them. Next, I felt compelled to get out some of my metallic watercolors and add a few little splashes on those little torn up papers. I had painted a sheet of paper on the gel pad in all black, and while I had the Posca pens out, I just had this urge to create these little loop-de-loo things on the black. And if you don't know what a Posca pen is, it's a acrylic paint pen, kind of like a marker, but just think it's got ink, like paint coming out of it, acrylic paint. So pretty fun to play with. I measured and cut up 4 5x7 cards. Now comes the really fun part of putting the collage pieces all together. Thanks so much for watching, and please feel free to leave any questions or comments below. Also check out the description box, and I have a list of some of the supplies that I used, some of my favorite things there for you. Okay, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.